Greetings, hello and welcome back. We are here on a little channel update video. We're going to talk about, well, what's going on with the channel, what are the plans for the next XCOM series, and we also have a look at some Project Zomboid campaign ideas, which will not come into effect very soon, I think, but I'm just finalizing some ideas for our next run. Anyway, within the last few months, there were some gaps here because I moved from Ireland, where I lived for the last almost 10 years, back to Germany. So I'm now fully arrived here. The only downside is, and I think I mentioned it a few times, my internet connection. I was supposed to have fiber here in February. It's not ready yet. I'm still waiting for the final installation, so it's all still a little bit unstable, but I've figured out now a way to at least stream again. So streams have been happening back on Twitch, and I hope that I can continue going into the old streaming schedule of Saturdays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. We'll see how that's all going. As for YouTube, we just finished up our unique class spec campaign kind of thing, and I was looking at a new campaign. Now, for a while, I already had some plans to revisit a campaign idea that we did last year, pretty much started around the same time, which was the so-called Highlander Campaign, where we had a bunch of classes, and the rule for the campaign was to only have one class, one soldier from each specific class. So we couldn't have two grenadiers within the whole roster, or two rangers, or two whatever. So that was the main restriction. By the way, I always, well, for the longest time, I always tried to do some restrictions, some special rules on the campaigns, and I see a lot of suggestions for some rules, but most of the time these suggestions end up being convoluted, complicated, hard to enforce. So when I'm looking for specific challenges for campaigns, I always look for something snappy, something that is easy to grasp, that doesn't take half an hour to explain what the restrictions are, that are easy to enforce, and that also still keeps the campaign fun. As much as I like a super challenging thing, yeah, it would be challenging to play with both hands tied to my back and only being able to use my nose to move my soldiers. But is it still fun at that point? Probably not. So this was one of the campaign ideas I really enjoyed the most. It gives a lot of variety, and even though I played it in that year 2 times on stream with that idea, and then 1 time on YouTube. Every campaign was completely different, and it turned out very, very, very interesting each time. So I started running a campaign like that on Twitch about 3 weeks ago, and which wasn't originally my plan. My plan was to keep that for the next YouTube campaign, but screw it, we're just doing it on both platforms. Now keep in mind, I always separate these two, so I'm not gonna stream half the campaign on Twitch and play the other half on YouTube. Each is gonna have their own campaign with their own soldiers and their own progression, so you're not missing out if you're only watching one or the other. And if you're watching both, then you might join me in confusion about which campaign is which. So that's gonna be fun. So I hope that's going to be interesting. So for this whole idea, we are definitely going back to Modjam. So this is basically a meta mod for Long War of the Chosen that adds a ton of new classes, a bunch of new enemies, new equipment, new weapon types, a lot of stuff. A lot of rebalances of classes, and it's really, once you've played Long War of the Chosen a few times, and we've played it a fair few times, it just adds a bunch of new depth and new interesting options. Now, one of the most recent additions to Modjam is the Requiem refinements by my good friend Illogical, who basically was working together with Reshi, who made the suite of Requiem mods. We go into those in a second here, and made them compatible and work with ModJam. So what is Requiem, you might ask? Well, it's basically 3 mods. I hope I'm not forgetting any. First of all, we have the Requiem Legion, which is a bunch of new terrifying enemies with special abilities, and with all their unique styles, and I am actually not sure what all of them do. I haven't played any mission yet where I'm facing those. I've seen a few show up on streams for other people. But yeah, there's a lot of new stuff to discover there, and definitely they shake up the gameplay a little bit when they show up. Then we have the Reim Armory, which, you know, these new enemies drop new items that you can use to turn into new gear, new weapons, new armor, new utility items to make XCOM a little bit stronger. Basically, your tiny reward for defeating these enemies. And then there is a mod called Gameplay Mutators, which is basically a whole bunch of dark events and sit reps for missions that really shake up the gameplay, where a mission will definitely play out differently than what you're used to, just based on the things that happen on the mission. To give examples, like those changes can be positive for XCOM, but they can also be very negative for XCOM and very positive for the aliens. To give 2 examples that I've encountered so far in the stream campaign, one was a modifier that gave everybody on Team XCOM an additional action. So every soldier had 3 actions per turn, turned the mission. Well, it significantly made the mission easier. But on the other hand, so the other extreme is was a sit rep that gave all advent units a shield that prevents the first source of damage. So the first hit you do against any unit on the whole mission was completely negated. I haven't actually played that mission yet, but that sounds like something that turns the difficulty around in the other direction dramatically. So obviously this is not something that will ever surprise you, but you see those modifiers, the sit reps, before you go on a mission, so you can decide if you want to take the risk or if you rather skip it. And yeah, so we're going to play with that Highlander rules little set of 1 soldier per class, and that campaign is gonna be starting, I'm gonna say on Monday. Maybe I can squeeze it in on Sunday already. Kind of depends on how long it takes me to record and render and upload that first episode. Because the first episodes, if I'm gonna explain a bunch of new stuff, might be a little bit more lengthy. We'll see how that goes. So, coming over to Project Zomboid. The current, well, we ended the Zero to Hero run, but we still have the You Only Loot Once run going. And I don't have immediate plans to end this, but I was also thinking about potentially starting a new run. I'm not sure though if I really want to have 2 runs at the same time, so very much undecided on that. But the idea for the new run, and I'm still open to suggestions there, was to have a mission, and using this Wolf Extraction quest mod, to really have a contained campaign that has a definitive end date set on it. So the Extraction quest mod basically gives you the objective. You need to find a military walkie-talkie, you get an extraction position, you get an extraction date, you need to go there, some sort of helicopter-like event will happen, so you need to kind of defend the position for a while, and then you get extracted and you win the video game. Now, just having this basic framework, we kind of did something similar in the vaccine run that we did, but that framework alone was not enough for me. if we're gonna get extracted, there must be a reason for us to get extracted. And the reason would be that maybe a wealthy collector wants some special items. So there's this mod which has unique variants of all the weapons that are in the game and spreads them all over the map on specific locations. So the idea for the run would be that we have, let's say, 2 months of time to find all these unique weapons that are all around the map, and have to then bring them to the evac location and get extracted with all the weapons. That also means, obviously, since we are collecting them for a collector, we can't use those unique weapons. They're all slightly very, very powerful, so not being able to just use them and murder all the zombies with them is an interesting restriction. Maybe we use them once or twice just to see how good they are. And one other unique thing that we'll be able to find is in a modded town, a modded map called Tiki Town that has its own little internal quest where a hidden item can be found. It's kind of a treasure map that you have to assemble within the map, and the map itself is also very, very unique, very interesting, very detailed, and that's basically would be the main location of the new run. Basically exploring this new map, because the unique weapons from the other mod, they will all be in vanilla locations. So we have to kind of visit all the vanilla locations, but also can focus a little bit on this new map, explore it, and do the treasure hunt at the same time, and then get extracted. So that's generally the idea. Of course, we're gonna add a bunch of modded cars, and I'm still undecided what kind of firearms mod, if any, I want to add, what I'm doing with trades, etc., etc. That's still all in the stars, and very open to suggestions on how we handle that on the Zomboid front. But yeah, that's those are the updates for now. Let me know what you think, and catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you then.